You asked for it, you got it. Basics with the Christian Whistleblower. This is a series that goes through the basics of what happened in the New Testament era and what has led to the place we find ourselves today vis-a-vis the religious, particularly the Abrahamic Christian, Pauline Roman situation of Christianity and our requisite responses to it. So this is the basic series. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. And without any further dilly-dallying, let's go ahead and get right into the scriptures. This is I'm not sure which number this is, but you'll see it when you tune into the video. Make sure you catch up. If you have not caught up, you can pick up right where you are without catching up necessarily, but it will make much more sense if you do watch all of the videos and watch them in order. So a teenage girl discovers she's holding in her womb something from the Lord. She's been impregnated by the Lord. This occurred when her womb was taken hold of or seized. She's to bring forth a descendant of the same nature as the father. And this thing, not called a baby, not called a child, not called an infant, this thing is called the child of the Lord Yahweh. This would happen because she was overtaken as in an attack with the power, might, and strength of the Lord. It enveloped her. And for all the world, as we looked and saw, and even as you can see from that rendering, it sounds like a classic forced insemination during an ET abduction to produce a thing, again, not a baby, not a child, not an infant, of supernatural origin, that is to be the Son of the Lord. Now, whoever or whatever that entity was that did this to Mary, it certainly was not the God of love portrayed in the New Testament. Its actions are strikingly consistent, by the way, with those of what we see today as entities of extraterrestrial origin. Now, understand the full meaning, if you will, of extraterrestrial. When we say extraterrestrial, we don't necessarily mean little green men. We mean something that is from beyond planet Earth, and furthermore from beyond our current plane of existence on planet Earth. So extraterrestrial could very well mean intergalactic. It could very well mean interdimensional, and it could very well mean intertemporal, or from other times and or places. But this entity that did this to this girl and produced this thing of supernatural origin is identified clearly as none other than Yahweh, Jehovah, Marduk, Yaldabaoth, Saklas, Samael, the Lord, rat bastard. So the Lord wants us to believe he had a son with a human woman. Did he? Is this conundrum the first textual breadcrumb that the last apostle saw that eventually led him to the full revelation that we're studying in this book, our basics? She brings forth her firstborn son, wraps him in swaddling clothes, puts him in a manger. Angel of the Lord comes. Glory of the Lord shines about him. They're afraid. Angel says, don't worry, here's good tidings of great joy. Suddenly there's a heavenly host. And it came to pass, as soon as they were gone away, the shepherds said to one another, let's go check this out in Bethlehem. So if we read this, as she brought forth her firstborn son, wrapped him in swaddling clothes, laid him in a manger because there was no room for him at the inn. Literally, folks, why this is basics is because this is the basic of the belief of all Roman, Pauline Christianity. Really the basic of 2/3 of the Abrahamic Trinity. Only and even partially somewhat the beliefs of Judaism, but definitely the beliefs of Islam and Christianity. And the list of gods or divine beings that have been born to virgins in mangers is so long that I won't include it here. A simple internet search will show you this. Why are we to believe that all of those reports, which predate Bethlehem by hundreds and thousands of years, that of all those stories, this one alone is genuine? What secular historical evidence do we have to corroborate it? What empirical data can we point to? Let me help you out. There's none. Zero. Nada. Niet. For our Russian listeners. And we do have some. So I'm not being completely, totally silly. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them, and the glory of the Lord shone round about, and they were sore afraid. A being from the sky suddenly and from out of nowhere appeared as in an attack, with blinding brightness which shined all around, encasing them in light. No, I'm not talking about an episode of the X-Files. I'm not talking about something on Ancient Aliens or Coast to Coast AM. The New Testament says that when they showed up to tell them about the birth of Jesus, that they were encaptured in blinding columns of light. Just like you see on the movies. How many times have you heard someone telling the same kind of story on Ancient Aliens, or heard someone tell a similar story to Art Bell or George Norrie? And of course they were filled with great dread. They were very, very afraid. And then suddenly, there's a whole host of these things. Just as suddenly, the original Greek says, with the being appeared a great crowd, arrayed like an army of these creatures. No wonder they were filled with dread. One minute, these simple shepherds minding their own business. The next, they're ambushed by an entity of blinding brightness, and then by an entire heavenly army that freezes them with fear in blinding columns of light. Classic UFO abduction alien encounter scenario. Close encounter of the Bethlehem kind. Oh, how did I not name it that after all this time? Oh, that's perfect. Close encounters of the Bethlehem kind. Oh man, how did I miss that one? The birth of Jesus is barely mentioned in the Gospels, and when it is, it's replete with classic ET, alien, UFO imagery. That's nothing less than a monumental discovery. It really is. Just as startling that the birth accounts of Jesus are plagiarized, copied, stolen from other religions that predate Judaism and Christianity. And I get people that say, oh, that's not true. It is true. You can't deny it unless you're stupid. Stupid meaning one that ignores evidence. Krishna, Buddha, Zoroaster, Marduk, Horus, Egypt, Mithra, Romulus, Dionysus. That's just a couple. Many of them born of a virgin, born in mangers, born on December 25th. If this shows us nothing else, it shows us that biblical authors, Old Testament authors, were well aware of the epic stories of other faiths and borrowed copiously. In other words, they jacked the stories of other cultures when writing their own accounts. Here's something David Icke wrote. Born on December 25 of a virgin, called a Savior, only begotten Son, died to save humanity, crucified on a Friday, blood spilled to redeem the earth, suffered death with nails and stakes, was the Father's Son in a combined earthly body, put in a tomb, went to the underworld. 3 days later, body was found to be gone from the tomb and resurrected as the Most High God. His body was symbolized as bread eaten by those who worshipped him. Oh, well, that's Jesus, right? Attis of the Phrygians, circa 1170 BC. Here's another little one. Who was born of a virgin mother, fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, was tempted by Satan and left promising a second coming? Jesus, right? Quetzalcoatl. And I have personally climbed the Chichen Itza pyramid, which is covered with images of Quetzalcoatl. I understand you can't climb that thing anymore. I'm glad that was there when I was able to. So the question that comes up, and a question that must be asked, of course, in our basics is, why would the strangely scant New Testament accounts of the birth of Jesus, number one, why would they be so scant? And number two, why would they be riddled with ET, UFO, and alien imagery? And number three, why would they be plagiarized from other religions? The Gospel of John was the last gospel 60 years after the others, full knowledge of their contents, the most complete rendering of facts from the apostolic perspective, and yet John doesn't mention a single word about the birth of Jesus. How about that? How about that? So let's take a quick look at a quick survey of these appearances of UFO, ET, alien imagery in the great acts of the birth and life of Jesus. We already looked at them at the birth. Here they are at the crucifixion. When the 6th hour was come, darkness over the land fell until the 9th hour. At the 9th hour, darkness fell until the 9th hour. At the 9th hour, Jesus cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me? And he cried out with a loud voice and gave up the ghost, and the veil of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. So we had the birth of the purported Son of God. Now we go to the purported crucifixion of the Son of God, and no surprise, more, you guessed it, ET, alien, UFO imagery. So from the 6th to the 9th hour, darkness fell across the land. Now, it does not mean that it got night. It doesn't mean that darkness fell uniformly. It doesn't mean that the sun went away. It wasn't nighttime. The literal Greek of the passage says, a shadow fell upon the land. The sun didn't set or diminish in power at all. Something blocked the sun, according to the original Greek language, and cast a shadow over Jerusalem for 3 hours. The real question is, what's large enough to block out the sun and cause a shadow to fall over at least a great portion of the city of Jerusalem? Adding intrigue to that question is the fact that whatever it was, Jesus saw it while he was hanging on the cross. Remember what happened? Darkness fell from the 6th hour to the 9th hour. So at the 9th hour, darkness lifted, and darkness lifted because whatever was blocking the sun went away. How did Jesus react at the retreat of the sun-blocking object? He cried out, Eloi, Eloi, lema sabachthani, which is being interpreted, whoa, wait a minute, you forgot me. No, it's being interpreted, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why did he cry out? Because the thing left. Why would he cry out by saying it because he saw it leave? Because he was expecting to get a ride. That's very, very clear in the text. And if you need more clarity, why have you forsaken me literally translates to, why have you abandoned me and left me here? Jesus was left behind. That's the real Left Behind series. Jesus was left behind. He called out saying, man, why'd you all leave me? And what is it that could take a person away and could also block out the sun? And not only that, the temple veil was torn in two. It was as wide as a man's hand from there to there, so very hard to tear it. And it was torn in two, down the middle, we're told in the Greek. And connected to that was an earthquake, because an earthquake would cause the foundation of the temple to shift, to drop out on one side, which would cause that veil to rip right down the middle. This way wouldn't do it, but up and down would. So the foundation shifted, the thing ripped right down the middle. Rip! And the same earthquake caused gravestones to roll away. Keep that in mind. Gravestones rolled away as well. So when you put it all together, something big was blocking out the sun, causing a shadow to fall over Jerusalem. Then it left. When Jesus saw it leave, he got upset and said, hey, yo, why are you leaving without me? And its leaving created enough disturbance to cause an earthquake. A modern mind knows what this is. An objective modern mind that's not stuck back in its preconceived notions knows that it was a mothership, a spacecraft, dramatic ET, alien, UFO imagery connected to both the birth and the alleged crucifixion, the alleged birth, the alleged crucifixion of Jesus. But wait, there's more, because we're going to go to the purported resurrection. Behold, there's a great earthquake. Does that sound familiar? Remember, the thing blocking out the sun left caused an earthquake, and now there's a great earthquake because guess what? The messenger of the Lord was coming back. So its approach caused another earthquake, which caused the stone to roll back from the door. Remember, before at the crucifixion, when it left, it caused an earthquake, which caused gravestones to roll away. That's why I wanted you to key on that. Now it comes back, causes another earthquake, which causes the stone to roll away from the tomb where Jesus was. Great shaking like seismic activity, because the messenger of the Lord was descending or coming down from out of the heavens. That's just the plain Greek. You don't have a problem with Jeffrey Darty. You got a problem with the translators of the New Testament, or the Nuevo Testamento. Something did descend, did come down, did arrive in the heavens, in the skies of Jerusalem, caused an earthquake, and as the messenger drew near, the shaking caused the stone to roll away. Bam! I should mic drop that, but I don't want to cause the ball to pop out and everything. That's my mouse. As the thing came near, enough force was exerted by its arrival to once again cause gravestones to roll away, just like it did at the crucifixion. Tell us about this messenger. Its outward appearance was like a flash of lightning. How about that? Interestingly enough, it's the same language used in Luke 18 to describe the adversary of the Christ. But we won't linger there. The men keeping guard at the tomb became as dead, just like the shepherds in the field at Bethlehem. Close encounters of the Bethlehem kind. This is also what happened to Mary at her impregnation by the Lord, and is consistent with the sleep paralysis that's ubiquitously reported in ET, alien visitation, and abduction scenarios. So let's combine the literal rendered portions of the text here, and we have, there was a great shaking like seismic activity because something was coming down out of the sky. The shaking was so great that it caused the stone sealing the tomb of Jesus to roll away. Suddenly one appeared like lightning, and those attending were so frightened they fell over as if they were dead. Bam. Boop. We know what happened at the conception of Jesus. We know what happened at the birth of Jesus. We know what happened at the crucifixion of Jesus. We know what happened at the resurrection of Jesus. Looks for all the world like an arrival of a great ship. Classic UFO ET alien imagery linked with all the major events in the life of Jesus. What's left? What was the first one? I forget what I called that. Conception, birth, crucifixion, resurrection. What's left for Jesus? Plastic Jesus. Oh yeah, second coming. The Christ said, won't be any signs of a second coming. I already came, I'm in your heart. But plastic Jesus says he'll be coming again. So if conception, birth, crucifixion, and resurrection all had UFO ET alien imagery, what do you think might be associated with second coming? So there's some common factors in every single ET UFO alien event in the life of Jesus, which is pretty much every UFO ET alien event in the New Testament itself. One, Jesus is there. Jesus and ET are attached at the hip. Jesus and UFOs go hand in hand. Jesus and extraterrestrials are peas in a pod. And notice the Lord is also there, and notice the Lord is always dominant and Christ or Jesus is always submissive. First, the Lord sires Jesus through implanting him in Mary's womb while she's incapacitated. Then the Lord welcomes Jesus as his offspring. Then the Lord allows Jesus to be crucified. Incidentally, the same Lord that said, "Thou shalt not kill," killed his purported son. But that's none of my business. Kermit the Frog meme. Connect the dots. Then the Lord allows Jesus to be crucified, leaves him hanging on a cross when Jesus clearly expected to be taken away. Next, they leave him in the grave 3 days, 3 nights, clearly displaying preeminence. And finally, it's only when the Lord comes back that Jesus can get out of the grave and finally catch his delayed flight. What do we know? We know that in all the major events of the life of Jesus, there is massive ET, UFO, and alien imagery. The Lord is always present and preeminent. And this is the final message of the last apostle. He thought it so important to put it in the final message of the last apostle. That's why I felt it so important to put it in our basics. And we are ready to move on now from this UFO, ET, alien imagery, but we had to set the context within the life of Jesus. Now, this is interesting, and I should have made this more known in the book, and I didn't really know it when I wrote this. I should probably change this. This is plastic Jesus here. This is what we've been talking about. Now we're going to shift and move from plastic Jesus to talk about the Christ. We've been talking about plastic Jesus. Now we're going to talk about the Christ. The plastic Jesus, born in Bethlehem, crucified, buried, resurrected, allegedly. UFO, ET, alien agenda, Lord lording it over him, he submissive to the Lord. That's plastic Jesus. The Word, the Christ, well, that's a whole different story. And I'll be back next time with basics to start telling you that story. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. Also, keep your eyes out and start going through the Create Yourself series. The Basic series gives you the basics of New Testament understanding. Create Yourself gives you the basics and knowledge and mechanics of applying what we learn from the New Testament and other workable spiritual technologies to create yourself and build the life that you'll love. So basics and create yourself go hand in hand to lay a strong foundation for your spiritual walk, and do serve, incidentally, as a concise synopsis of the teachings, beliefs, and practices of yours truly, your friendly neighborhood Christian whistleblower, Jeffrey Daugherty. We'll see you next time. Until then, unwind your mind, unindoctrinate yourself, be excellent to you so we can all be excellent to each other.